We always are getting stories from families who are in need.
There was a mom who reached out, and she had a young son who I think had just turned 4, who needed a wheelchair, and he was up to that point only being transported via a stroller, but he was going to preschool, he was immobile, and he really just wanted to be like his peers. And so he called us, and pediatric wheelchairs are really hard to come by. So we didn't have one here, but we were able to reach out to our network, and we actually had a pastor who said, I know exactly where to get one. He got one for us, and we got a picture from that mom of that boy really just ecstatic to be able to have his own mobility for the first time.
We had some families who didn't have water, and that was really heartbreaking, and we were fortunately able to get them water and hygiene items and supplies that they needed to clean, and that was really new and heartbreaking for us.
So we give to the schools pretty much whatever. It doesn't matter as long as there's a need. And we had one of the school districts, we had a counselor call us and say there was a boy who desperately needed a wheelchair. He didn't have a wheelchair. His family were immigrants. They just couldn't afford it. He was being made fun of in school. He couldn't get around.
And we've put out requests for wheelchairs and pediatric wheelchairs, which we don't get in very often, and gotten those to students, and that changes their mobility greatly. From being someone who's stationary in a classroom to being able to be outside at recess with their peers and eat in the cafeteria and the lunchroom. Those have been really great ways that we have been able to enhance the lives of students.
One of the first times I really saw God at work at Mission Central was I was out in the warehouse working on some kits, and somebody was in the front answering the phones, and she came back looking for a wheelchair for somebody in need, and we didn't have any. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rang, and I answered it, and somebody was there with their car backed up, dropping off just a wheelchair. About 20 minutes after that, she came back looking for a walker, and we didn't have any. About a half hour after that, somebody came to the door and dropped off a walker. And I said, the way he meets the need here is just incredible.
We were able to take a lot of goods directly to New Jersey when Hurricane Sandy hit. We were able to see the exact impact that we have with those versus when we're sending it to Louisiana, we don't necessarily always see the impact and the devastation that came from the hurricane and the flooding, and we were able to be, really directly involved in that.
I love the people that walk through our door. I love the passion that they have. I feel like they're blessed for being here. I talk about where the things are going, who they're helping, and they love to hear stories about that.
Our animal food program really primarily goes to animal shelters. And so when we first started, we kind of reached out to a bunch of nonprofit animal shelters and rescues and said, do you need help with this? And we actually had one in Chambersburg who said absolutely, and they came up with a trailer, and this was, sort of in the very heightened part of COVID, and they said, we're just at our wits' end. We are having animals kind of thrown over the fence at night. We're coming in and there are more animals there for us, and we don't have enough food to feed them, or cat litter, or whatever it is. And so they were just really, really touched by the fact that we were able to give them so much food to be able to help their animals. And that turned into a really beautiful partnership with them.